People emigrate from one country to another for a range of complex reasons. Some are forced to move due to conflict or to escape persecutions, while others may voluntarily emigrate. For good reason, it is often said the United States is the nation of immigrants. Almost every person in the United States is descended from someone who arrived from another country. Around 10 million illegal immigrants live in the US, according to estimates by academic and government agencies. About 75% of undocumented immigrants arrive across the US southern border, with Mexico and hail from Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, Colombia, and other Central and South American countries.
Less meaning. Well, I know exactly what you mean. Last night I dreamt that you still care, that you still love, and you'd always be.
Figure 1 shows that after growing in the early part of this century, the immigrants' population stabilized at around 10 or 11 million for about 4 decades. In the mid-1960s, changes in immigration law and other factors caused the annual level of legal immigration to rise steadily, from about 300,000 in the 1960s to 800,000 in 1900. As a result, between 1970 and 1980, the number of immigrants living in the United States grew by a record of 4.5 million. This table shows the percentage increase of the US population from the year 1900 to the year 2000. It began with 13.6% in the year 1900, and in the year 2000, the percentage was 10.4% of immigrants. In the pie chart, it shows the areas the immigrants most arrived to when leaving their country. In the year 1900, the state most popular was California, the percentage of 45. The next most popular was New York, with 15%. The least popular state was Illinois. As the year 2000 approached, the most popular area was others, with a percentage of 38. Following after it was California with a percentage of 24. Again, the least popular state was Illinois, with 4%. Illegal immigration reduces the job opportunities for citizens in the United States. The illegal immigrants come to the United States and take the jobs that citizens could have. When they take these jobs, the American citizens are left unemployed and still looking for job opportunities. So while the legal immigrants are getting paid, sometimes paid under the table, American citizens are struggling to find jobs that will help support their families. When the illegal immigrants get paid under the table, this causes issues because the employers are breaking the laws and they know that they are. This is also not fair to the United citizens because simply because it is if the illegal immigrants could be paid under the table and receive more money, why can't the United States citizens do the same thing? Migration affected America socially. In the 1970s and 80s, Indian and Pakistani immigrants in the UK, for example, faced constant racist pestering and jokes about their small businesses. While these communities have managed to weather this, and many are now quite successful, the new wave of immigrants, Polish in particular it seems, face a new sign of antagonism. During the global financial crisis at the end of 1900s, East Asia was particularly affected. This resulted in a wave of anti-immigrant emotions. For example, in Indonesia, there was a wave of violence against Chinese immigrants. In May 2008, South Africa saw a wave of anti-immigrant violence, as extremely poor South Africans turned against thousands of immigrants from other parts of Africa, killing some 50 and forcing thousands to leave. The main reason people migrate to the US is to improve their standards of living. This will change the impact they have on various natural resources. As the number of immigrants arriving to the US increased, the amount of population created has increased dramatically. To prove these changes, you can measure the resources both before and after migration, and then calculate the percentage. For example, consider someone who migrates from a hypothetical country, where the average chlorofluorocarbon CFC emission per capita is 0.02 metric tons. When the person comes to America, emission increases to 0.52 metric tons. That person's resource impacts has increased by 2,500%. The calculation is simple. See above. CO2 production occurs in industrial processes and automobile usage, but also occur during rapid land use change, as when forests are developed. Forest development by burning immediately converts huge quantities of carbon in trees into airborne CO2. Forest development by clear-cutting produces a similar though slower effect. Developing countries are destroying their forests extremely rapidly, and so migrants from these countries are actually decreasing their carbon pollution rates from land use change when they migrate to America, but this is more than offset by their increased CO2 pollution caused by their use of American industrial processes. America is the world's most overpopulated country, because America's population does more damage to the world's ecosystem than any other country. This is also true on a per capita basis. America simply must lower its population and decrease the per capita impact of that population. Financial incentives and disincentive are the best tools for managing population impact. For example, we should stop subsidizing automobile use and childbearing. Rather, drivers and parents should pay attention to the true cost of their action. One solution tried out by the US government is building a border on the southern US border. The US government has steadily been raising its annual budget for the Mexico-US border. It leapt from about $250 million a year in the early 1900s to $1.6 billion a year in the early 2000s. Yet at the same time, there was a doubling in undocumented immigrants arriving to the country, from an estimate of 6 million to 12 million people. Border control has not worked. No matter how big these states' gun and border control budgets, they have lost credibility, both with their citizens and with traffickers. Another suggested solution was to enforce existing laws, meaning to make sure that each existing law against illegal immigration and undocumented states should be enforced and generate severe punishment for any disobeyers. Though some people believe that all immigrants should leave the country, it sounds very unrealistic to round up more than 12 million people and send them back to their hometown.